In this demo flow, I'm a store manager responsible for 250 different stores all over US. We have 13 different departments, 166 products. I have access to this Incorta dashboard where I can do some basic data analysis. For example, if I want to see all the sales transactions for 2024, I can filter it by year, and then I can see sales by stores, and I can again sort it ascending, descending. I can see the top stores here. Then I have a lot of follow-up questions. I want to do analysis for top stores in 23 versus 24, and if a particular store is top store in a particular year, why is it top store, and things like that. So I want to see the growth in that store for 2 different years. And based on the question that I want to ask, there may be follow-up questions. Now, problem here is, of course, I can ask my BI team to build more insights in the dashboard which can answer that question, but it may lead up to more questions after that. I cannot chase my BI team all the time if I have a new question in the dashboard. Luckily, I have access to Incorta CoPilot, where I have the flexibility to ask any question from the data set and do my data analysis. How many total stores do we have, and count of all the transactions. Of course, we have 250 stores. I saw that in the dashboard. But let's see what this CoPilot does with this question. Awesome. Now I know that we have around 50 million transactions overall in the system and 250 different stores. Now let's see what are the top 5 stores by sales in 23. Awesome. It is showing this data in a nice little chart. I can see this data in tabular format as well. So I see that sales for these 5 different stores are kind of similar, not much difference. And store 174 is the top store in 2023. So now let's see which store is top store in year 2024. Well, now I'm curious because store 174 is not in the list. I see store 41 is the topmost store. And if I go to the table, I can see that sales for this store is significantly higher compared to next store, right? And I can see the summary here as well. Now I want to see what's going on with store 41. Why is it topmost store? So I have a lot of follow-up questions, right? So first question I want to ask here is, let's compare YTD and QTD sales for 24 versus 23. So LYTD is last year YTD sales, right? And same way LYQTD is last year QTD sales. So this will give me a really good comparison about what's going on with this store. Last year compared to last year, what is the growth rate for this store? All right, so I can see what's the total sales year to date sales, because apple to apple comparison. This is August or September this year, and I want to compare sales data from Jan to September, today's date last year versus this year. So I can see there's sales growth of 4.97%, which is really good for retail sales. QTD sales still negative, but hopefully this will improve. Now, if I want to see similar data for store which was topmost store last year in 23, which is store 174, because if I scroll up, I can see store 174 was the top store in 23. So let's see how this store is doing. Awesome. I can see that sales growth for store 174 is negative year to date, and it's also negative quarter to date, significant lower compared to store 41. So now I'm curious what's going on with store 41. So I want to compare sales for all the department in store 41. And again, apple to apple comparison. That's why YTD sales this year versus last year and QTD sales this year versus last year. Okay, so let's look at this here. Now there are like 13 departments, and I can see for some department the growth rate is phenomenal. For example, bakery, 27% growth year to date. Even quarter to date is almost 14.37%. And look at other department. I mean, some of them are negative and so on, but not that bad. But especially for bakery, something is going on with bakery department where sales is significantly higher. Especially the growth rate is significantly higher compared to last year and also compared to any other department. Now in this department, I want to see what's going on with all the products in this department, right? So again, I can do YTD QTD sales comparison for store 41, and then I want to get all the products that we are selling in department bakery. So let's do that. Let's look at the tabular data here. So I can see all these products here in bakery, and let's look at some of the products which are outlier probably, because that's why the growth is pretty high. And immediately I see here, not only in summary here, that sales growth overall is 26.35%, but for bread, it is pretty high, 94%, right? Highest for bread. So if you look at year-to-date comparison, this year versus last year, it's almost 94%, which is phenomenal. And then 88% quarter-to-date growth. That's what is making overall growth rate for department bakery is so high. Now, this is something that we found for store 41. Maybe they have a new vendor from which they're getting bread. Maybe they have like a lot of other options for bread. Something is going on in store 41, which we need to replicate in all the other stores so that it can have significant effect in the sales for other stores as well. So this is a really good finding. Just by asking a few questions, we are able to nail down why store 41 is topmost store in year 2024. And then based on few more questions, we are able to see there like significant growth for some of the product which in bakery like bagels and bread, year to date and quarter to date comparison is significantly high, the growth. So let's share this with all the store manager for 200 plus other stores and share the success story of store 41 with other stores.